Public Safety Committee meeting of December 17th, 2024. Thank you. Welcome to the Public Safety Committee meeting, December 17th, 2024. To call to order, Pledge of Allegiance. Michael, will you help us start with that? Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay. Let's see. I see we have Tom, Michael, and myself here. And the roll call, and Jay, Christian.
Yep.
I've got
The meeting minutes will reflect that everybody who has not been declared here will be identified as absent.
there you go. You gotta do the.
That's right.
Okay. Special orders and presentations. We don't have anything, I don't think. That's from last month. Would you take a minute to go over those? See if you have any corrections, additions. You would. I'd like to suggest a couple of corrections, if I may, on this is the November 26th minutes, page 2, under item 4B, second paragraph. There's a word named time frame. It should be two words instead of one run-in word. And the second one is on the last page, page 5, under item 11, adjournment. Unless Committeeman Hazelton is a commissioner, I don't know what to tell you.
What's that?
Page 5.
Oh, great.
So we'd like to have that one changed to committeeman.
That'd be good.
Any others?
I'll move to approve with amendments.
Okay. And second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Got that one out of the way. Oral written communications. Do we have anything? I believe Mr. Streeter, please.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Streeter. I am a co-chair of the San Clemente Homelessness Collaborative. As I gave a heads up to Jay Christian a few days ago, one of the things we are batting around in the collaborative is the possibility of having a series of churches host a homelessness tent in our parking lots. And maybe this is a good idea, maybe it's not. I've told Jay that if you have all the homeless people in one location, it's easier to keep an eye on them. On the other hand, they will interact with one another, so that could cause public safety issues. Either way, I'd like to give the committee a heads up that we're bouncing this idea around. And if you have ideas that, yes, this would be a great idea, I'll take it back to the collaborative next month. If you have ideas that, no, this is the dumbest thing I ever thought, I'll take that back to the collaborative too. Either way, we'd like your input. Thank you.
Great, Tom. Are you up for questions at all?
Oh, questions, yes.
I have one. Is there a city code requirement for that type of work? Is it camping out in the parking lot, or is it inside the facilities themselves?
As I read the code, camping is prohibited in any place which is accessible to the public, which would include a parking lot. I know that the Elks have wanted to have RVs from visiting Elks come by, and they can't do it even though it's their parking lot because they're worried about such things. And similarly, the churches and I guess other nonprofits cannot convert their parking lots to even be partially a shelter for homeless. And I can see the good points of it, I can see the bad points of it, but right now it's prohibited. And if the recommendation of this committee on up to City Council is, no, we're not going to do this, then I'm going to go back to the collaborative and say, we're getting some strong pushback and we should try something else. But if you say, yes, this is a good idea, I'll take that back too.
So let me, my question is, if the code prohibits parking lot, that means that if the church wants to invite these individuals into their facility to overnight,
Oh yeah.
whatever, you don't have, that's not a problem there.
As I read the code, having people sleep inside the church is no problem. But setting up a tent in a parking lot constitutes camping. And with the new Supreme Court case coming down, we have decided, or the City Council has decided, to prohibit camping citywide.
Right.
And that would mean any kind of an outside tent.
Okay, back to, but your proposal or whatever that is not to prohibit inviting those folks to stay inside the churches at all.
Yeah, my proposal is that we consider amending the city code to allow churches to have temporary tents. We're thinking about on a rotating basis having maybe 4 churches, 1 month here, 1 month the next church, and 1 month and so on, so that we don't have a nucleus for Skid Row. But at the same time, if it's raining, or just to have, some people at a centered space, we can let the homeless people camp there and not be camping on Del Mar, which is not in anybody's interest.
One other question, a couple of years ago, there was some consideration of doing that rotating tent, but within the Tri-Cities.
That would also work.
Is your proposal limited just to San Clemente, or is it,
Our proposal is very fluid right now,
okay,
but if we can't get buy-in from the city to at least allow churches to have a tent in their parking lot, then there's not much point in going forward. And as I pointed out to Jay, I can see both the good points and the bad points of it.
got it.
He may even have some ideas, I bet he does.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, we could agendize this for the next meeting if you'd like.
Probably be best to do that. I think I want to think about that, all the other things that they bring up.
Well, and also read the code really well.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I'll move that we put it on the next month's agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0. Okay, so, Mr. Streeter, if you have any, no, I'm sorry, if you have any documentation or anything that proposal,
I'm sorry, my ears are messed up.
if you have any proposals, written proposals, or whatever. that
No, we
would help
don't.
us all. Okay, it's just a consideration.
Yeah, this is just a consideration, a heads up.
Got it.
Hey, Tom, if you could put together some kind of a little work plan,
Can you repeat the
okay,
motion?
so that we have rather than just this huge nebulous thing, we actually have something very concrete to look at. How many churches, how often, how many people would attend, what would be the maximum number of people, and then it would be a lot easier for us to look at that.
I will certainly try to get something more specific out of our meeting in January.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Tom.
And do you
You're
have
welcome.
the churches that are volunteering to do this? Do we know where they're going?
Not yet. Not yet. It's in a very early stage.
Okay.
Good. All right, any others? No? Always waving their hand, okay. Let's go to reviews and recommendations. I see marine safety, Rod Milan is not in attendance, so how about if we hold his stuff over until next meeting? Any problem with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, then we can understand what his stats are on his performance measures. See, it was deferred from last meeting, we'll defer it again, please. Okay, so now we're in code compliance, performance measures. Danielle, can you help us out?
Sure. Did you guys review the numbers? Only thing that's really notable is in August of 23, we had the highest number of new cases and then also the highest number of cases closed. And they have kind of dropped off from there. Possibly due to two reasons. One, we changed our anonymous complaint policy procedure where we do not accept anonymous complaints except for priority 1 cases, which are like life and safety issues. So I kind of attribute the lower numbers due to that. Also, it's not the peak of summer, so we went from July, August, and then to April of 24. That's weird. Is that wrong? Okay.
August.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I was given additional data that's not correct. But it still applies. The cases are lower as well. Now, the cases closed aren't relational to the cases opened. They're separate. You could have a bunch of cases, going back from 2020, some cases that take a long time. They have to go through planning and building, and you could close those in the last year. There are a number of cases like that, but the stats are low. Ultimately, there hasn't been a ton of activity.
Great. My question to you is this anonymous reporting, when did that take place?
That was back in April of last year. That's why I thought there was some kind of correlation, but I was looking at the data wrong.
Yeah. And what precipitated that change?
Oh gosh, we had received a number of complaints regarding lighting cases, lighting that was protruding from residential properties. And we had one complainant we suspect make over 100 and I don't know how much it was. Adam, what was it, like almost 200?
Yeah, it's closer to 200.
Almost 200 anonymous complaints, right? And there was discussion that wasn't the real intent of having an anonymous complaint, system, and it just really inundated the department. And because it was it seemed very vindictive, and kind of knowing a little behind the scenes information, it does appear that there was some of that. So I believe an HOA got hit pretty hard with these complaints, and we had started to do our investigations and issue our notices, and they had made a formal complaint, I believe, to the city manager, which prompted Adam and my kind of looking into how other cities manage these types of issues and writing a staff report and putting together a matrix. I can send it to you. It's also on the city's packets. And
did it necessitate a city council approval?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that it was run by the city council.
Well, Adam did the presentation. I don't remember. It was a while ago, but I want to say. Do you remember what the?
I don't remember specifically when it was, but as part of that city council discussion, we had identified a potential resolution. I provided it to the city council. The city council does not need to provide direction on how complaints are received, but we told them what the plan was moving forward, and they signed off on it.
That's great. Yes,
So subsequent to that, our process changed.
great. Okay, and that helped solve the problem of inundation type thing?
Yes, and I mean, it has dropped our stats down quite a bit, but we're pretty pleased with it as far as it requires more accountability. If somebody's saying, oh, this is a problem, right? And we're providing them information that their name and information is confidential, that we want people to provide their contact details. So if we have questions, we can follow up with the complainant. So that part has been made easier. But it just, our numbers have gone down, I think, a lot because of that.
Okay, great. Just understanding the procedures on these things. So, any other concerns you have on code compliance that we can help you with?
No, I can't think of anything. We're just trying to work a few things out and constantly refine our processes and just improve our deliverables.
How many personnel do you have in code compliance?
Well, code compliance is like the umbrella, right? That includes park rangers. So with code officers and the outreach workers, there's 9. Then add the 4 full-time rangers, that's including Trevor, plus 9 part-timers, I believe. We might be down to 7 or 8 part-timers.
Okay, maybe this is more clear.
So it's like 20 people.
If you look at those stat that we've got, they have a section called efficiency, and it says the number of actions per officer. I'm trying to figure out, is that including park rangers or just,
No, park rangers are separate.
this is under code compliance?
So
Big umbrella?
code compliance is the division.
Okay,
Okay, we are under community development. Within the code compliance division, we have the park rangers,
right,
we have code, and then we have our community outreach workers.
gotcha.
So park rangers collect and capture their own stats. Code does ours, and then the community outreach workers do theirs.
Okay, so the question I have back is how many people do you have in code compliance that responds to this so that I know the number of actions per officer?
6.
6.
Mhm.
So you're quite busy, 158 in April.
That's, yeah, that's actually a little low.
That sounds like you're busy. Yeah. It's a few of them per day, that's for sure. Okay, got it. Any other questions for Danielle?
No, I'm gonna take this over and look at it because I may have a question for you after I look at it. A little closer.
Got it. Good. Okay, now we go to park rangers. Trevor, the main man,
How are you guys doing?
fantastic.
Yeah, so looking at our April, May, June stats, one of the things I really want to highlight is the training. April and June, we sent 3 of our rangers to get their PCA 32 so that they'd be able to issue citations and have that added capability out in the field. And we see that with the uptick of the number of parking violations addressed. Those are parking tickets that were written. So we have been writing a lot of citations moving forward with our new PCA 32 capable rangers. So that's been great. We've been busy addressing a lot of violations in the parks. We've also had a number of where most of our violations we're able to address verbally with a warning and make contact with the people. And that's been very good. We're responding to a good number of complaints, though we do have a decrease in May. I'm not sure why. All the May numbers seem to be down a little bit. I'm not looking back. I'm not really sure exactly what caused that. But one of the measures that's not one of the official measures that performance measures that's that we gather that I just want to also share with you guys is our public contacts. So over that quarter, our rangers made contact with over 7,800 park visitors. And those contacts are, everything from answering questions, greeting people, just, being present, visible, engaging with the public. So we've been doing a lot of that. Really been stepping up a lot of foot patrols, especially in the North Beach area and the Pier Bowl and the pier. And that's been pretty effective in engaging the public and catching things that you can't necessarily see from just driving through the parking lots and whatnot. So things are moving well. I'm really proud of this team. They've been working hard out there. As far as the efficiency numbers, this really looks at mostly our full-time rangers, and we only have 4 full-time, counting myself, but we have 8 part-time. So a lion's share of the work is done by our part-time rangers, but they're really out there getting after it, and they do some really great work. So, while the efficiency numbers might kind of look a little low, it's because they're not the main bulk that's being measured. If you guys have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I do.
Perfect.
You mentioned 7,800 public contacts. Is that per month or is that per quarter?
That was for the quarter.
Okay.
In April, it was 2713. May, they made contact with 2,637 people, and June was 2901. So they're out there seeing the public, talking to the public, but that tracks with June going up as the summer, the parks became much more busier as we really hit that summer month.
Okay. The citations that after the 832 training, what type are you restricted from citing?
So mostly when someone gets freshly trained, we start them off on just parking citations. They can get practice scratching them, writing a report, doing that stuff, and now they're moving into admin citations. We're actually doing a training tomorrow on the processes for their misdemeanor citations, just because there's much more paperwork on the back end for that we need to make sure we do properly so that our city attorney can prosecute those issues.
Our city prosecutor's gonna be putting on the class tomorrow.
Good.
So
Now, the citations, the parking ones, are they on the street or in the park?
no, they're only we only do parking citations in the parking lots that are for the parks and beaches.
Okay.
So those are the areas that we have authority in. We're Title I gives us authority to enforce city ordinances and laws in parks, beaches, publicly accessible city facilities, and the parking lots that serve those parks, beaches, and publicly accessible city facilities. So they're not doing streets, they're not doing street sweeping. They're really focused on parking violations in the parks and the beach when they come across those.
Okay, is that the same for the misdemeanor stuff that you're?
Yeah, we only have authority in parks, beaches, publicly accessible city facilities, and the parking lots.
Got it. I needed that clarification because Jay's got everything else,
Yep,
right?
pretty much.
And both.
And both.
And
Yeah,
both.
they can do
He can go-
those areas, and
You
yeah,
specialize.
there are like boundaries that
Yeah.
we can't. When somebody crosses, they gotta get across state lines. Gotta run the posse. So.
Okay, any other questions for, how, yeah, go
It's,
ahead.
it looks like if those numbers are right, your people are contacting 86 people a day. I think that's great.
Yeah,
If that number is correct, then
we're doing about 86.
That's a lot
That
of
seems
things,
about right.
with
There-
people.
Might even be a little low.
That might be a little low. It depends, the weekends, much more people out and about than on like a Tuesday.
I think that's great, that people see San Clemente, face to face.
Yeah.
Great, thanks, Trev.
Yeah.
Trevor, one more question.
Sure.
Radios, how are you doing with your county radios?
We got the radios. We're out. The guys are using them. They're able to, it's mostly the night shift that's using them mostly because that's when we have multiple people on, and so they're using it to coordinate efforts and get assistance when they need it from each other. And so that's actually been a great tool. So
Okay, and how many units do you have?
we have 3 handheld.
3, okay. And how do you deploy in the evenings? Is it 2-person or 1?
So yeah, we have 2 people on every night at a minimum, closing. A lot of times when it comes down to when they go to lock everything, it's really showtime for our guys to go and clear everything out. They'll pair up,
Gotcha.
but they can also kind of be a little bit distant without, because they have the radios, they can still be in contact quickly. So they'll both go down to the south beaches and take care of that. They'll both go to North Beach and they can spread out. But yeah, they stay close, for safety.
That's good.
Yeah. Anything that we can do for you?
Anything you guys can do for us? Last meeting I presented on Watchtower as a software program that can, help with efficiency and collecting of data. That's something I've been looking at. I do have answers. Mike, you had some questions as far as the amount of time spent in the office dealing with this. I, off the top of my head, had estimated that everyone's spending at least half an hour. Turns out it's 1.3 hours per shift. And so that makes it, so they're spending, a whole hour of pay doing just paperwork stuff that this could save a lot of time on. I think this would be a big benefit for the program. That's something, we're looking into different equipment, how we can restructure our shifts to be more efficient and really hit key areas. And so we're working on all that stuff.
It's important to get these stats out so that it shows how efficient and your contacts and stuff, because without that, you can't justify your existence very well.
Yeah.
And more effective if you have these computer programs, you get the licenses for them and the proper hardware to run that, right?
Yeah.
So, you have enough vehicles?
We do have enough as far as like trucks for driving around the streets. One thing that is difficult is, on the beaches, there's remote areas that are difficult to get to, and our guys would have to walk. And it can be, they're walking at night down to an area where we might have an encampment. And if they find an encampment or find property, then they'll have to walk back and get the truck. Like, there's steps you have to do to get the truck driving down there where you'll have to, air down the tires. And it's, but if we had a dedicated vehicle like a UTV that we could patrol the beach at night to clear it and have the capability to gather any, abandoned property, that we could get that out, that would be really effective and helpful for us. That's the sort of stuff that would make our jobs easier, especially the guys at night when they're out there trying to keep the beaches, clear the beaches after hours and deal with property that's been left, because the property has been really effective, I think, in stopping our overnight camping and making sure that doesn't spread or grow.
Yeah. Okay, is it, Danielle, is that something that we can urge the city council to put in the budget, or?
Yeah, that would be, fantastic. I had done a little research on this, and I guess at one time we were able to use one that maintenance had, but now maintenance is loaning that out to, or not maintenance, Public Works is loaning that out to janitorial and maintenance. So I don't think they're super expensive. I think that what was like around 12,000?
Yeah, 12,000, you get a pretty nice one. You know, but that's something that we're looking at. As far as on the trucks, having a PA on the trucks would also be a huge benefit for clearing large areas, especially when we're dealing with large groups. That way our rangers could, you know, address a large group while remaining safely in the vehicle. Sometimes they're coming across large groups at night that either have been drinking or are behaving in a way where it just seems that it would be unsafe for our rangers to get out and go and confront them face to face. But if they could, you know, stay in the truck, flip on the lights, address them with a loudspeaker, it could be very effective and also maintain their safety in that situation.
Could you work in that vein? Could you work closely with marine safety to clearing beaches because of sharks or some other hazard?
Yeah, it would be a capability that we could assist them in those situations if they ask for our assistance. Yes, we don't work a lot with marine safety just because, you know, the hours that they're doing the most work are not the hours that we're doing the most work. You know, they're gone when we're out there.
Okay, so this gives you another tool to use.
Yeah, that would be a really effective tool.
I could see it could be of value citywide if you had to do some evacuations, and there's just so many police and fire out there that capabilities and stuff. Anyway, good. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I did. The only issue I have with more of an all-terrain vehicle is we're at night. We do have homeless people sleeping on the beach, and we got to be really careful not to run over one of them because other municipalities have, and it's really tight when it's during.
Yeah, if we were to acquire a UTV or some other vehicle to patrol the beach at night, we definitely would do extensive training with our staff to make sure that they're able to do so safely, and have some standard operating procedures for how they're supposed to conduct those patrols on the beach with that vehicle.
And then also, when you talk about this computer program, it would again numbers help people move programs. So when we're now thinking that we were doing a half an hour and range an hour or an hour, and the cost of the program, can you put something together that can show us where it's financially, to the benefit of the city to have?
Sure, I can do that.
Because I love going to places, hey, we need this program, but then somebody can say why.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, there's always a justification for existence.
Yeah.
It's,
And I think it's a great idea. Anything that streamlines, gets us better numbers quicker, then we can make better decisions. I would support that wholly as long as we can justify it.
good. Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Good job. Okay, now we're in the new business. Seeing that we don't have a whole bunch of new business, I will go on to unfinished business and work plan. Communication of disaster preparedness project update. My input on that with Tom is that we met last week with Cal OES regarding tsunami signs, and how they can help us work on tsunami preparedness. I found one of their videos seemed to be very interesting and helpful because it also focuses on this particular area, geographic area, Dana Point, San Clemente, and all that. So, Natanya, if you can roll that, I'd appreciate it. Let's see.
California is famous for beautiful beaches, great ocean experiences, wonderful surfing, and also natural hazards. Everybody has certainly heard about the earthquake hazard in Southern California. But Southern California also has a tsunami hazard. There are a number of fault systems, both close to the coast and offshore in Southern California. And there are also large fault systems throughout the Pacific Basin. And so if you're in Southern California, you might be at risk of what we call a near source or a local tsunami, or you might be affected by a really big event happening far elsewhere in the Pacific Basin.
There are generally two types of tsunamis we're worried about. Transoceanic tsunamis. These are tsunamis that come from these massive faults around the ring of fire around the Pacific. These involve large magnitude earthquakes with a lot of vertical motion of the sea floor and can generate these waves that travel all the way across the Pacific Ocean.
These events would create an official warning issued by the National Weather Service if those events could have an impact to our local beaches. This could be in the form of a tsunami warning, or a tsunami advisory, or a tsunami watch, depending on the level of severity of the event and the impact that is anticipated by that event. These types of events give us anywhere from 5 to 7 hours of response time before there is an impact from that tsunami. And it gives us a lot of time to take specific action in our area that will be appropriate to protect the public's health and safety. This may include evacuating our low-lying and coastal areas. Here in Dana Point, it may include the harbor and our local beaches.
A local tsunami could be caused by either an underwater landslide or a significant earthquake that would be strong enough to potentially knock you off your feet on the beach. If there is a local tsunami or a local big wave coming in, there's going to be no warning from the Alaska Tsunami Warning Center, and people at the beach will need to know how to respond. Either the water will either be going out, or again, if the earthquake is strong enough to knock them off their feet, then they need to head inland or to higher ground as quickly as possible.
We also can say a tsunami is like a flash flood, or like being downstream of a dam failure. If you're in the way of it, the survivability is very low. The mortality rate is going to be very, very high. So the number one best thing we can do is get people out of the way ahead of time. The evacuation and the warning are clearly the two most important parts of this whole process.
If you feel an earthquake while you're on the beach, you need to get off. If you feel an earthquake while you're on the shores of a coastal river, you need to get off. And you need to stay off, because you have no idea if the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the eighth surge is going to be the largest. It could well be a period of danger that lasts 8, 10, 12 hours or more.
If you're a visitor to the coastal communities and you experience an earthquake, which you may have never experienced before, or if they come in with a tsunami warning, what do? Well, the first thing you do is look at the phone book. They have emergency instructions there as well as phone numbers. You should know your evacuation routes. If you're in a hotel, they will all have evacuation routes posted. Know where your exits are at. If it's a tsunami and you can't get out of the building due to an earthquake, move to a higher floor. If you can't get out safely, move to higher ground, which is 100 feet elevation or maybe a mile inland. There will be evacuation routes established. The community members will know which way to go, follow them. They will take you in the right direction. Do not go to the beach. You've had this warning several times. If you see the tide recede and you see the water going out to sea, don't think it's a great idea to go look at that. Because following that, once it reaches a certain point, there's going to be a wave coming back at you and you will not be able to get away. You cannot run fast enough to get out of the way of that wave. It will take you with it.
It could be catastrophic if we had a tsunami on a beach day, because on a typical beach day in the summer, we can have up to 150,000 people on the beach. So after the earthquake in the Indian Ocean, we decided as a city that we needed to follow the National Weather Service program, Tsunami Ready. And as part of the Tsunami Ready program, we improved our warning systems, We have additional systems to receive tsunami warnings, and we have several systems like our sirens at our fire stations where we can notify people that there's an emergency. We have a mass notification phone system that can call people and tell them there's an emergency. And what we want people to do is when they do hear there is a tsunami warning, we want them to take action. Don't hesitate. If you're ever in doubt and you don't know what to do in a tsunami, just go inland. Get in your car and drive inland if time permits. If it's a local tsunami and you're on the beach and there's not a lot of time, then you need to just walk across Pacific Coast Highway and start moving inland as quickly as you can.
In addition to putting together a kit and a family plan, we want people to remember to practice their plan regularly and to reevaluate their kit at least every 6 months. You might have changes in your needs, in your family. Maybe there's been an addition to your family, or there's been a new illness where you will require additional medication, which is why it's so important that people remember that they have to keep their plan up to date and their disaster kit has to also be current. We work hard to help people become prepared for a disaster or any type of emergency, but ultimately everyone's responsible for taking care of their well-being and the well-being of their family. We are constantly encouraging personal responsibility when it comes to disaster preparedness.
Thank you. Anyway, that just, I thought that would be of interest for our meeting. And with Tom and I on our subcommittee, disaster preparedness, we met with Cal OES, their earthquake and tsunami awareness, which is in Eureka. It's one place, and Humboldt is another place, another office they had. And the day we met on basically a Zoom call, the day after they had that big earthquake up there, the 7 point whatever. So it was kind of interesting. Put out a tsunami warning for a couple hours, but it could happen here just as well. So what we're going to do is our little subcommittee is going to work with Rachel. Rachel's taken on Rachel Perez is taking on a pretty good role on staff. And what we'd like to do is to coordinate Tom and I with Rachel with the state. And I think our first action will be to inventory the current tsunami signs. And then see if we need any more. And then also go into kiosk formation, which is a larger sign, like a 24 by 36 color with graphics and printing and things, which gives direction and what is a tsunami and it's some educational things, and find some good places there. The importance of including the staff on this project is because we need to coordinate planting these signs and kiosks and things through the city. The state has the funds to give us those signs and things, but as far as planting them and making sure they're in code compliance with the city and all that, we have to use the city. So the staff is helping us on that. We can all work together. So that's what we're doing on that one, right? Any other?
Waiting for a little more update on
Yeah.
the app that we're going to be using.
There's an app that the state's using, a geo app, which will actually pinpoint latitude and longitude where these signs are and record that. But they had an update, the app had an update recently, and our iPhones were excluded from the thing, so they're working on that one. So more to come on that project. Okay. Homeless and best management practices. We've got
Mark and
Seth. Well, Seth has resigned. He is now in Hawaii, so, and then Mark is off. He's not available to be here today, so we'll postpone that committee report. We'll go to Neighborhood Watch, which is Michael.
Last meeting, Adam, you were gonna check to find out, the neighborhood watch signs we have. Currently, I have the inventory, and you were just gonna check to find out if those were the ones that were ordered, or we had more on back order. Were you able to get that information?
I don't have that information just yet. I'll have an update in January
Great.
as far as what we've got. And also some of the information I'm also waiting on is what the process was to identify the current sign that we have versus the updated sign with the changing logo and language. So I'll have all of that in January, hopefully.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I can't believe you have any time with that one program you're working on, so we appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it for us.
And make sure that the phone number is correct on
Right.
those signs too.
The phone number was correct,
Okay.
the ones we have.
Statistical information review, Tom and I have that. There's nothing to report that I know
Not that I'm aware of.
of. Our performance evaluation is all part of that too. We got those reports on that this meeting. Human trafficking, Michael, do you have anything on that one?
No, Mark and I have nothing on that.
Okay, and then Mark is not here either. Let's see, e-bike and traffic safety. Mark's not here. I think there was a city council meeting about a month ago regarding proper verbiage additional to the city code on people that are riding the second person on a bike, so that was worked on. So we're working there. I'll ask Jay, do you have anything on educational or enforcement regarding e-bikes that is current?
I don't have anything to update on that.
Okay.
No, I don't.
All right. And then we got technology review, and nothing there that we can report on. And then we're in the park ranger program. Thank you, Trevor, for that report. And I think, yes, go ahead.
Hey, Trevor,
Yes.
you know, I'm always surprised at how many parks we have, okay, which is wonderful. Okay, how many locks do you guys, or how many locations do you lock every night and unlock in the morning?
So we lock every restroom west of the 5. So that would be Jim Johnson, Canyon View, Vista del Sol, Pico Park, North Beach, Lynn Lane bathrooms, the bathrooms on the pier pool, the basically pier bathrooms, T Street South, T Street North, and then of course we do San Luis Rey, and then we lock the gate at Steed and the gate and the restrooms at Cherry Grande and Liberty Park, as well as locking up San Gregonio Park's bathrooms and gates. And then we do the pickleball courts. So there's that.
Isn't it all but like two?
Yeah, it's pretty much every park.
All but two parks.
Yeah, that has a bathroom.
So like 20 twice a day.
There's less in the morning that they do. The cleaning staff
Okay, unlock them.
unlocks a number of them.
Still, that's
But still, it's still at least 10
A lot of
places in
work.
the morning, and probably it's double that at night.
a great job.
Yeah, and while they do that, they did their inspections too on those, and see if there's any maintenance that needs to be done. Graffiti and all, so, good. There. All right, we'll get to committee members and staff reports. Jay, can you give us an idea what's going on in the city?
Sure, I don't have much to report, but I'll go over what we did in November. We had 1,891 CAD calls for service, resulted in 449 reports written, 94 arrests, and 143 traffic citations. I did just we kind of talked about this earlier when I walked in, Nick, some important note, and it wasn't in November, it was earlier this month. There was a shooting in the area of Kayakasa and Kayakabana. 2 people were shot, and they received non-life-threatening wounds and were taken to the hospital. And that case is being investigated by our South Gangs enforcement team. So just an update on that. I don't have much about the investigation. It is currently being investigated by the gang team. So other than that, nothing else to report on. If you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer any.
Tom, do you have anything to ask?
One question. The e-bike, was that that was officially adopted by the council, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, now, how is that enforced, or is there a hotline if you're out somewhere and you see a bunch of little guys riding around on their bikes and popping wheelies? How do we get that to where that can be enforced, or aside from just yelling at them to stop?
Yeah, typically I think somebody would call the non-emergency dispatch line for the sheriff's department if they want to make a report of it. Otherwise, it's there for the deputy to use as a tool if they see violations occurring in public. At that time, they can.
Yeah, so it's just we have to be on scene to see it.
Yeah, just gives the deputies another tool in their tool belt to be able to take some sort of action.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that our committee can do to help you?
Nothing that I can think of right now. I think we're doing very well. Appreciate it.
I'll leave that offer open.
I appreciate it.
That's that. Yeah.
And great job at Glitz. Your folks were out there in force and just tagging the one car.
Yeah, unfortunately, I missed that event, but it looked like a good time was had by all.
Yeah,
so the kids love that tagging of the police car. It's the only time we invite vandalism to a police
I can't
officer.
believe how many were out there.
I don't see anything with fire services. Chief Mel is not available with us, and also with Chief Millette, it's not here either. So the committee chair, I'd like to, if you don't know Rachel Perez, I want to introduce her. She's very instrumental. Instrumental in. Can you talk to us about the city's emergency preparedness program you got going right now?
For me, personally, I've been doing some trainings in emergency management to try to better understand it as a whole. So that way, if something did come up, we would be better prepared. So I've been taking trainings at least 2 or 3 times a month. I just did a rapid assessment training last week, and that was a 2-day training with a lot of other emergency managers throughout the county, from Huntington Beach, Irvine, and that was a great training, great information. I've been taking different ones, just classes for tsunamis, earthquakes. So it's going in the right direction for the city.
Yeah, I want to applaud the city because we didn't have that lack of disaster preparedness, at least a coordinator, for years. And I see fit that Rachel is kind of taking the lead there and helping us out on that end, getting things together. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good. Stay in contact on that.
I will,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Let's see, committee members. Tom, anything? Michael?
Good.
Yeah,
Very
a little guidance maybe from Adam. Gary Walsh was on our committee, and when his term was up, he did not realize that he had to reapply. And I've spoken to Gary a couple times, and he'd really like to be back on the committee. How can we help him get back on the committee so we've got 5 members, so we don't have to worry about quorum?
Well, the city council was presented with the vacancies, not only from the public safety committee, but also there was one on the human affairs committee at the last meeting, and they decided to maintain the vacancies until the next appointment cycle, which would be around July this coming year. So we can, have the committee members reach out to him around that time. We'll have it posted on the city's website and other places, but at this time, the city council has decided not to go through another appointment process to fill those 2 vacancies.
Okay. Thank you, Adam.
Okay. City staff. Adam, you're the big guy right now. You have anything? It's good exercise up and down.
So, I don't have much to report. We are nearing the city's winter furlough. Various staff will be taking some time off. City Hall will be closed, but I think Danielle can expand on this a little bit, but we will have coverage for the community development department's staff, not like the planning or building division as much as the park rangers, but we are gearing up for that, and we will be sending out some information on the city's website at the appropriate places for that. I will follow up with what Rachel was talking about with emergency services. So at the last meeting, I given a presentation on the local hazard mitigation plan and discussed some of the other items that are on our emergency management program. Those are part of a much larger, I would say, multi-year plan that we're developing right now to get the city where it needs to be in terms of emergency management. There are many, many facets to this, things like tsunami preparedness being one. But on the front of wildfires, there are a few things that we're looking for to embark on hopefully soon. We're looking into a few grant opportunities to develop some fire plans, some community preservation plans for that potential impact. The state is revising their hazard severity maps. At this point, it does not look like the city of San Clemente will have any impacts from that, so our very high fires hazard severity zones should remain intact as they currently are, but we're tracking that. So there's a lot of moving pieces to this program, and in the coming months, Rachel and I will start putting together some presentations to give to the committee so that you're aware of what those activities are, and elicit some feedback on those kinds of specific tasks that we need the committee's input on. So yeah, we're looking forward to a good year coming up, and it's been an interesting year getting the local hazard mitigation plan to where it is now. It's submitted. We should hopefully get Cal OES's comments back within 45 days. However, they're I think reviewing a number of these programs, so it may be a little bit longer, but we will provide updates on that process as it continues. Other than that, happy holidays.
Send you.
Thank you. Danielle?
No.
Nothing? Natanya? Nothing? Trevor, any more?
Nope.
I'm good. Boy, this is crazy. Okay. Well, I'd like to move to adjourn the Public Safety Committee meeting to Tuesday, January 28th, 2025 at 3 p.m. in City Hall, Council Chambers.
So moved.
Moved. Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.